The sapphire water of the South Florida Ocean was melting against the sky as our boat rocked in a light breeze. Equipment clanked and voices rose and fell around me. My hair was still dripping. My throat was dry and raw. The smell of salt in the air was strong. The water on my back was drying in the summer breeze. Colors were more bright and vivid. My skin tingled. I felt like I was in a daze. But I felt present, truly present in a way that I hadn't felt in years. We were in a scuba diving boat on a group trip off the coast of Key Largo in the summer of 2016. And 15 minutes ago, I almost died. But before I finish that story, let me catch you up. In 2014, I was married. We were planning a family. Life was full of promise. One night we were out celebrating. We danced on tables after dinner. We hung out with a comedian after the show. It was a night I'll never forget. It was the last night we would ever have together before our lives changed forever. The next morning, she woke up. She had little red spots all over her body, and her leg hurt so bad that it brought us to the emergency room, where we found out with growing horror that she had a rare form of blood cancer, leukemia. She had a 10% chance to live a year. Our lives descended into darkness, living in hospitals, the never-ending drips of IVs, beeps of machines, sleeping in a cold, sterile world for months on end, battling with insurance companies and billing managers over millions in expenses, trying to run her business and mine. But by some miracle I'll always be grateful for, she survived. But we didn't. And with the death of our marriage, I felt my life begin to slide through my fingers like water. I felt like I was drowning. The world was gray. My brother convinced me to get away from everything. In 2016, we would go to a dive trip in the Keys. I would get certified to dive deeper than I'd ever dove before, so that we could dive the famous shipwreck of the USS Spiegel Grove. As we descended into the gray depths, my brain was swimming with thoughts of loneliness, of cancer, of divorce. And as our visibility shrank, I forgot that my brother was on nitrox and he could not go below 100 feet. And by the time I looked back, we were separated. I was alone at 120 feet. I was lost in my thoughts, I was lost in my pain, and I lost track of where I was. But I knew that if I could find the shipwreck, there's a rope leading up to it back to our dive boat. If I surfaced now, I'd be lost in the open ocean. I don't know how long I was looking for that rope when my dive computer alarm went off, and suddenly I realized I was in trouble. I might not now have enough air to complete my safety stop, which might mean the bends or worse. I started to panic. I swam as fast as I could. I was breathing so hard that the seal my mouth made on the regulator broke, and I started breathing ocean instead of air. I started choking to death at 100 feet below. And then I heard a voice I'd never heard before. There were visions flashing in my head. Beautiful memories, painful memories, lost hopes, regrets, and dreams. But in that moment of stillness, the voice came. "Breathe," she said. An overwhelming sense of peace came over me. I curled up into a ball and I started to get my coughing and my choking and my breathing and my heart rate back under control. And I had this moment of clarity and I knew where I needed to go. I started swimming, and soon enough, the rope came into view. But my air gauge was reading empty. By the time I got to the rope, I was on my last breath. I started climbing that rope, pulling on it end over end as fast as I could go. And by some awesome trick of physics, the air in my lungs was expanding and it gave me new life. But it wasn't enough. And as that last breath started to fade, another little miracle happened. I saw a shape above me, and it was a dive master. She was doing her safety stop. And she saw me coming up the rope, wide-eyed and panicked and motioning that I was out of air, and she rushed down the rope with her spare regulator, and I breathed in new life. She had enough air in her spare tank so that I could complete my safety stop, and I wouldn't have to worry about the bends. I breathed in new purpose, new clarity. Back on the boat, my brother was waiting. The sun was waiting. The ocean melting into the sky was waiting. A second chance was waiting. I think that was the day that I finally began to let go of my past and start grieving. I started looking forward to the future. I took up more travel, yoga, meditation. I found new love. I feel more connected to my friends, my family, and my Orlando community every day now. Now, I don't recommend near-death experiences to become more present in your life, but I believe that we all have a voice inside of us reminding us to breathe in our darkest moments. Every breath is a second chance. This is your moment. This is our moment. Breathe with me.